Testing.
As a, are you attending as a, community member, or are you the new person who's being installed on the?
I guess I'm the new person who's being
You-
installed. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Kim, or I guess maybe Eric, sorry, can you give us some guidance on if Robin is able to go and rest, and we still have quorum, even though Katie has not been officially kind of become part of this crew.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has to happen.
Katie should be appointed if I recall correctly.
Okay.
Let me
I have a letter.
double check.
Okay.
I've got a letter.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I just wanted to make sure that Robin going and taking care of herself wasn't gonna like leave us in a lurch. So thank you, Robin, for being dedicated and showing up. I have your update, so I can just provide that update to everybody.
Yeah, the main thing I would impart is in the community development meeting on Monday, the housing development plan is taking some additional time because they have to measure the. Well, have we officially started? I can't say that because it's not on the record because we haven't taken roll call. So.
Yeah, Katie has been appointed, so if you need to leave, that should be okay.
Okay.
Rest up and
All
feel
right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
take care, Robin.
I'll just leave. All right.
Nice kind of meeting you.
Yeah. Nice kind of meeting you. All right, all. Bye.
Take care.
Bye, Robin.
Okay, so let's call this meeting to order. Eric, do you want to do roll call here?
Sure, Jones.
Here.
Schulte.
Present.
Dean.
Here?
Katie Place.
Please. Yes. Here.
Please.
Yeah. It rhymes with please.
Cockrell.
Here.
Looks like we have a quorum.
Perfect. Excellent. Any business from the public? Nope. Okay. Let's move to approving the December 10th minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Excellent. Somebody want to second that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right. Let's welcome Katie. Katie, welcome. Sorry, I did not know that
That's
you had
okay.
officially been installed. So
That's okay.
welcome
Thank
to
you.
the Human Relations Commission. Do you want to just give us a brief introduction about yourself so that we understand who you are and we can do the same?
Sure, that sounds great. Thanks. So I'm Katie Please. I am an Albany resident. Obviously, I've lived in the area for about 15 years now. Have a couple of kiddos, one who's actively going to school in Albany, the other one who's not quite old enough yet. And I currently work for Portland State University. I am a trainer. I train state child welfare caseworkers. Those who are coming in need to have their initial training to be able to do the job. I provide that. Previously worked in child welfare, both locally in Albany as well as in a couple of our neighboring districts. I recently learned about these commissions and kind of that they existed and that they were an option for me to participate in. And I really am finding that doing some acting locally would probably do some good and would love to contribute to the city and my community in that way. So that's why I'm here. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm super excited.
We're excited for you to join us. So I'll go ahead and go next. So I've been on the commission since I'm going into my third year. So I kind of came in midterm initially. And I have a background in education, worked as a public educator for over 15 years, actually still work in public education. I have a toe in still, as well as I work developing training for a tech company. And I have lived here in Albany since 2021, but previously lived in Corvallis for 12 years before that. So welcome, Katie. Tammy, you want to go next?
Sure. My name's Kim Ledane. I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation and the staff liaison for this group. Been with this HRC 4 years, maybe 4.5, and been here at the City of Albany for 5 years. So welcome. We're excited to have you. I'm going to pass it to Tammy.
Hi, Katie. Welcome. I have been on the commission for, I think, 3 months, maybe 4. I finished up the term for somebody that was on and then had stepped off and then just got reappointed the same night you did. And I've only been in Albany for 7 or 6 months. But I was in Lebanon for 4 years. I retired from local government and was in the Portland area since 1981. So left big city, came to little city, and really enjoying my time here. I've done a lot of equity work and really thought this would be an interesting group to get involved with here at the local level, and also just got appointed also to the Planning Commission. So I'm super excited about that, to work on affordable housing. Yeah. So welcome.
The fight between me and Jamie to see which one of us can unmute ourselves first. Hello, Katie. I'm Edie Schulte. I have been with the commission for, I'm going to say, about 18 months or so, just under about 2 years. My background is human resources. I work for a trucking company. I've lived here in Albany for 23 years now, which is very strange to say. So that's kind of me.
My name's Jamie. I've worked all over the place, mostly in youth programming, in the schools, summer camps, teaching parenting ed at LBCC, and right now I'm just being a mom. So I've got 2 kids in school and then a soon-to-be 3-year-old. Yeah, and I've been part of the commission for about 3 years.
And Eric, you want to give just a brief intro to who you are, just so Katie understands the role you play here?
Perfect. Thank you, Allison. Hi, Katie. Welcome to the group. My name is Eric Glover. I pretty much do a lot of the clerking and recording functions for the group. I've been with the City of Albany for a couple of months or so. Previous to that, I've been with other governments around the state of Oregon for the better portion of 10 years or so. But again, we're definitely glad to have you here. And if you have any questions or anything like that, don't hesitate to give me an email.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I also figured I'd mention, I was also recently appointed to the Public Safety Commission. So just so that information is out there as well. Thanks.
Cool. It's great to know that both you and Tammy and Robin, who had to leave today, that you have some involvements in some of the other places. Like that's helpful, I think, because if we want our commission to have a much more holistic look at how we think about, equity and inclusion in the city, we have to have representation outside of just this commission. So really exciting that, we have 3 people who are involved with some of the other city commissions. So hopefully you all will be more than happy to give us updates from those commissions and talk about how it can affect some of the work that we do here. So next on the agenda is HAC and NAACP representation. So Tammy, I know you went to the HAC meeting today. Before we do a call for people to sign up for future sessions, do you want to kind of fill us in on things that we should know about from the HAC meeting today?
Sure. So it was a very active meeting with everything that's coming down on immigration, of course. So there was just to talk about a lot of fear, but also like staying really strong and having faith was the word that was used. But they talked a lot about Sanctuary Promise Act, and if people weren't familiar with that, and I know that that's on our agenda, the right to know. So they did talk a lot about that and making sure that everybody knew where the resources were. And when I looked at our agenda with the attachments, it looks like most of that information is already included in there. So that was kind of the main topic. And then they went to Festival Latino, Festival Latino. It's going to take place in September. They're looking at either the 7th or 14th, but Millie's going to be working, I think, with Kim on what days might be available for both Monteith and also Timber Ridge. So I think they want to get it back to Monteith. It sounds like historically that's always where it's been. So Millie's going to talk to Kim about that. But they are looking for lots of volunteers in lots of different areas. So if anybody is interested in volunteering, I suppose probably the easiest way is just to get in touch with either Millie or Christian. Let's see. And I think that's probably about it. There's a lot of right to know trainings that are going on. Some of them are more public than others because they want people that are really going to be affected by these by what's happening now to be able to attend them without fear that those that are supportive of what's happening are not showing up and causing additional fear and trauma to our community members. So it's mostly word of mouth, but I know that there is one on March 15th. It's a Know Your Rights training. It's about 5 hours from 10 until 3 at LBCC campus because it's about also empowering people and building community around this. So that's going to be taking place. That one I can share. They're going to have flyers for it. And then there's a couple more one-offs that are going on, but it's really directed at certain individuals and groups, and it's just going to be by word of mouth. So that's kind of what went on today. It was kind of a heavy meeting, but also, you know, that's such a positive and amazing group of individuals. So yeah, so they're keeping their chins up and doing what they do. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Tammy. I also saw that they got one of the tourism grants, which was awesome. So $4,000 to do some of that promotion. And if you didn't attend Festival Latino last year, it was incredible. I think a really great show of what a lot of dedicated people can put on to celebrate community here in Albany. So I think as we get a little bit closer, we can talk more about the ways in which the HRC can help. I mean, I know Heidi and I were there volunteering, helping to welcome folks and direct people in the right place, you know, get people to do some exit surveys, but there might be an opportunity for the HRC to do a little bit more this year.
Yeah. And if I can, one of the things that they're going to add to this year's festival is an arts and history component. So they're going to have artists there and also a lot of information about just history around the Latino community. So that'll be really cool.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. So with that, you know, the intention is that we have, you know, contact, we have, you know, regular engagement with 2 of the organizations here locally that help to serve a more diverse population, you know, that is often underserved by like historically underserved by cities, public institutions. So 2 of those are the Hispanic Advisory Council, which we often call the HAC, and then the NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. And they meet monthly. The HAC meets the same day that we do, just from 3 to 5. And often it's online. Sometimes they do an in-person meeting. And then the NAACP meets the second Thursday evening. of every month. And so we hope to like have somebody from the HRC who can attend each one of those meetings and kind of share the labor on who can attend when. So with that, if we can line up who could take on let's see, February and March, since we're at the very end of January, who can attend the hack in February and or March? Is anyone able to do that?
I can do it in February, Allison. I already have it on my calendar. I think at our last meeting, I had volunteered for both January and February.
Okay, thanks, Tammy. Anyone who's able to do March's meeting? I'm just gonna look at the date there. It's the same day as our meeting. Let's see. 3 to 5, I know is hard for folks who are working, 8 to 5 jobs. So it would be March 25th. Anyone able to do that?
I'm always, because I am retired, I'm always happy to do it because it is 3 to 5. It's, they are going to start meeting in person like every other time. And so it's going to be all over. It'll be in Corvallis. It'll be sometimes in Albany and Lebanon. So it might make it a little bit more challenging just to get back for the 6 o'clock meeting. But again, because it is during the day, I'm happy to do it. But I think it would be great if other people could join in, even if you didn't want to like participate. But it's just a great group of individuals, and getting to know them and the work that they're doing and the agencies that they work for. Although it sounds like a lot of them are leaving, they're going to start using their personal emails as opposed to their business company email, just because of what's happening. They feel like it's just going to be a lot cleaner if they just do it on a personal level and not a representative of their organization. Kind of a side note. But anyways, if nobody else can do it or wants to do it, I'm always happy to attend those meetings just because I'm available typically on those dates and times.
Tammy, I can communicate with you. I think I can make that one in March. I don't have my work calendar right in front of me, but I think I should be able to make that one.
Okay. We can always switch back and forth, Allison, or like text the day before or something like that and see, because your days probably are very fluid and changing. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I'm happy because yeah.
Okay. That sounds good. How about I unfortunately I teach a class on Thursday night, so I'm unable to make the NAACP meetings until after March. So
I am happy to do that. I'm actually an active member of the Lynn Benton NAACP branch, and plan on attending at least next several meetings. I actually do the tech and Zoom for them. And so I'm more than happy to do that. I would love if folks want to join as well. I wouldn't want to take that from anyone if you would like to participate. But I'm happy to also be that person. Since I'm going to be there anyway.
Yeah, Katie, that's wonderful. I mean, since you will be there,
Okay.
I plan on joining back in April. I can't can't during winter term. So that would be awesome if you're willing to bring back, things that you feel like are important for us to know about, and ways that we can kind of support the efforts of NAACP.
Yeah. Did anybody attend the last meeting in Corvallis? And if not, would it be helpful to provide information?
Yeah, please.
The last meeting? Okay. So the major focus was the local chapter just swore in their new president, who's Dr. Barry Jerkins, as well as their newest vice president, who is John Phillips. I believe John is local to Albany. I'm not sure where Dr. Jerkins lives. And so that was the primary focus of the last meeting. There was some discussion, just I think it's pretty relevant that they held an event to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and are planning for their Freedom Fund celebration. And there was some discussion around gathering and managing safety of the members while in public settings. There was quite an expression that a lot of people feel like gathering in large groups, specifically as like a congregation of the NAACP would feel like fairly unsafe. I know that the last couple of events I have gone to, they have intentionally worked with the local police departments to patrol during these meetings to kind of ensure some safety. I think there's some concern. They had recently, prior to, I want to say it was January, so it might have been November or December, they had an online Zoom meeting that was Zoom bombed. I'm not sure if folks heard about that. That was pretty upsetting. And so that was actually a part of, since I train virtually, utilize Zoom a lot. Part of what they're working on is securing the virtual meetings a little bit more thoroughly, making sure that that is taken care of. Additionally, they announced just some really exciting news that I don't know exactly what the grant was, but the Lynn Benton branch specifically was the recipient of like $2.3 million of grant money to support Black youth as far as education goes. And so they have a lot of really great plans for that. I don't know what all the details are. They're not all kind of being made public yet, but it's pretty exciting. I think it's specifically for academic success for Black students. So that was really cool.
That's
If I think of
excellent.
anything else, I'll let you know. But I think that was mostly it.
Yeah, I would just add, one of the things that I know from the being at, it was the November meeting, that in terms of coverage, like us covering, Katie, it's great that you're already there. But if somebody else wants to cover, I know one of the things that they're really trying to be mindful of is that only people who are actual active NAACP members are attending. And so if that is something that you're hoping to do in terms of go to those meetings, you will need to join. It's like $35. It's not bad. And it goes to a really, really important organization.
I would second the notion of joining if you would like to attend. And I also am happy to liaise on specific coordination. I don't think that they would be against someone from this particular commission attending with prior knowledge.
Yeah.
Since I will apparently be helping manage who joins the Zoom aspects of the meeting, I'm also happy to kind of help make sure that names are known so that way no one is concerned about someone just kind of joining and being able to support in the moment if membership isn't an option for folks. So
Thanks, Katie. Next up on the agenda, I'm going to turn it to Kim. This is strategic plan facilitation and schedule.
All right, so I'm excited. So we've been kind of waiting for what the new year would bring with new faces on the council, new faces on the commission. Katie, to let you know, there's been talk from the group of trying to do a joint meeting for a while or a presentation, and it was kind of held off because we had some empty positions due to outgoing council members, as well as just upcoming changes. It's hard to set a group going in one direction when potentially it could go another. So I spoke with the mayor and with Marilyn and Peter, who is our city manager, and the assistant city manager, and we kind of talked through what's the appropriate next steps. As we know, we have this group that's very interested in wanting to get additional clarity and move forward. And so our new deputy city manager is actually really awesome at facilitation and has been doing a ton of it, and a lot of strategic planning work. And so what we're going to do is at our next meeting, February 25th, I'm going to ask and hope that everybody can be in person and do a 90-minute session at City Hall, where we go through a planned facilitation of talking about looking at our charge. What does that mean to us? What resources do we have? And what could we see being our role moving forward? And so I apologize, as I know we typically try to keep our meetings to an hour most of the time. Everybody's got families, commitments, work, sleep, just happiness that, you need to take care of yourself in these times. So I want to be respectful of that. But if everybody can put on their calendar for 90 minutes in person on the 25th, and then from there, Kayla's going to come back on our March meeting, and we're going to kind of do a cleanup and just kind of make sure that after a little bit of time to sit and think, that we're able to echo back, yes, these are our priorities. Here's what we're going to talk about. And then in April, I'm hoping to propose the April 7th work session at council. That's on a Monday, not set in stone. So that we would be able to take some time and come back and present the strategic plan to council, to have them hear it, ask questions, affirm, correct, and then kind of go from there to set, the tone moving forward for with this group, seated in the commission. So it'll take a little bit of time, but you know what? That's okay. We have forward progress now, and we have the tools, and we've got dates. So I wanted to check in with you all to see if you have any questions, comments. We can kind of go from there.
Well, thanks, Kim. I think that's very exciting. I think getting clarification as to what council would like to see us do, but also us being able to get together and really kind of talk out what we would like to do as individual members, but also as commissioners as a whole, and what this group is really going to be about in the upcoming year. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, Jamie, I see something that just came through from you. I think maybe you changed something on your
It was an
calendar.
accident.
There are some people
I
who
was
are
trying to add it to my own calendar.
got it. So yeah, actually that's the ask that I have is Eric, if you can send out a calendar invite to those of us who are on the commission, and just I think that was, there was something a while ago that Gina had sent to us for Fridays, the Friday prior to our meetings, to RSVP by Friday, whatever works for you, Eric, but there was like a helpful calendar invite. And so just so people kind of see it pop up on their calendars to make sure that they RSVP. So that
Yeah,
we
we can do that. I'll make sure to send those out going forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I would say going into that meeting, we'll have snacks, but it won't necessarily be anything substantive. So if you need to bring your fuel, go ahead and do that. Or if not, if you wouldn't mind doing it ahead of time, or waiting until afterwards. Like I said, we'll have snacks, but it won't be a hearty meal.
As kind of being new to this, and maybe everybody might actually have this question, what's the best way to kind of prepare for thinking about that? I'll just be transparent. I really can use containers. I like to know where my walls are, because I am happy to talk and share all of my thoughts and feelings all the time. But if this is something that maybe there are some guides about what to expect, what's expected of us as commissioners, is what we're calling it.
Sure.
That would be great to know.
That's a very good question. And over the years that this commission has been around, it has ebbed and flowed. I do want to say that the commission, as far as resources go, you have Eric and I, and some enthusiasm and love for this community and wanting to make it a better place. I think part of the reason why we're having this large 90-minute conversation is there hasn't ever really been any designation of what this group is supposed to do. So some commissions wanted the group to do a food festival that welcomed everybody, an international food festival. Some groups, we used to give HRC awards. There was a time where we had representatives at the farmers market kind of trying to engage with the community and talk about, a welcoming space. But because our charge sometimes comes from council, it hasn't been clear, and it could change with any 2-year cycle or with situations. So we went on a hiatus for a couple years around COVID, and then came back and had a charter that was retooled. But there isn't, in all honesty, a lot of you will do this, you will do this, you'll report back to us on this side. So while I would like to say, I sadly can't provide you the guides, the containers that you're probably looking for, as it depends on the 7 personalities and beliefs and approaches of the folks behind the dais. But in the past, we've been waiting for them to tell us, this is what we want you to do. And we wanted, I say we, as I am as a liaison. So I hope that's okay. I'm throwing my name out there. So we were wanting, a very much like, we want you to do X, Y, and Z. But because there's been so much change, and because they do speak as one body, but with 7 different groups of opinions, the thought this time around was, since we have somebody who's doing really great work with facilitation, that, well, let's turn it around. Let's have you guys go through the charge, as that is really the only thing written down that we have to guide and say what that means to this as a group. So how do we interpret it? What could it look like? And then that way it gives council some ideas as to like, oh, okay, well, is this actually what we want? And they'd be able to say yes or no to things easier than having to have large hashed out discussions on the dais in order to, meet public. It just seems like a more productive use of time than we maybe had available to us in the past. Not a great answer, but it's kind of where we are.
That's very helpful for me. So I appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Kim. Next is DEI training availability for commissioners. I'm gonna turn that to you as well, Kim, because
right.
I know that you sent a whole list, but they are not in our agenda. And so
it's totally fine.
it's
So
good.
there are like 37. So we go through a training system, CIS. I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but they're insurance provider and trainer essentially. So they provide quite a bit of trainings that are available. Every new employee goes through anti-discrimination, as well as just general be a good person, don't harass training. And I can follow up with the actual names as we get after this. But there are other ones. And so this group had asked last time if they would potentially have access to what those CIS trainings look like, just to kind of get a sense of the resources that are available. And so I reached out to HR, and they said they will be able to give you all access to them. I would just need a thumbs up if you're okay with me sharing your personal email address to HR in order to have you be sent a login. And then you'd be assigned those trainings so that you could poke around and kind of get a feel for the resources that we have currently available to staff and council. Council also has availability to these as well. So if folks are interested, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, and I can work with Kinsey to, all right. I'll get those squared away, and Kinsey will probably send them out either later this week, or not Kinsey, HR, they're a little bit short staffed, but I imagine probably by the end of next week, they'll be able to send out the link and get everybody activated.
Thanks so much, Kim. I think the other part, when we talked about this last time, was wanting some data. So I know that you said in this email you weren't able to get a breakdown of who has taken these trainings. If we can get some kind of data though, like, percentage of city employees who have taken X number of trainings, etc. Some of that might be helpful just in us getting a better sense of, how equipped with knowledge our city employees are.
Sure.
The other thing that I see is not here, and it does dovetail with the next agenda item, is that there's no training on the Sanctuary Promise Act, which I think is a place where we absolutely need to ensure that those people who are working in official government offices are very clear on the parameters of the Sanctuary Promise Act and how to determine when something is a judicial warrant. So that is a place where we have, I asked Eric to include this about the Sanctuary Promise Act and kind of what it means to be in a sanctuary state, because I think this is absolutely critical that we have this knowledge, especially considering I think the conflict between federal moves and state protections. So I'm wondering, Kim, if you're able to, as our amazing city liaison, tell us if there is any kind of training around Sanctuary Promise Act, around what it means to be a government official in a sanctuary state.
So so I reached out to the chief of police to kind of see what's going on. So we'll start there. And she's having this conversation with other institutions around our community. And pretty much the quick answer is that their stance, their authority and their approach has not changed. So they follow the US Constitution, but they're mostly bound by Oregon state law. And there are laws on the books, like the one that we're talking about, that govern when we can and cannot work with immigration or customs and border protection. So none of that has changed. But that's also at the same time as, there was as we were getting this information, there was notices saying that local government officials who don't, uphold this will also, end up in jail. So it's fluid right now. But they are not going out. Their stance has not changed. So I know that they were chatting with local churches, and I know that they were chatting a whole lot with GAPS about what that would mean. As far as us, like Parks and Recreation or City Hall, we are public spaces, so we are not able to say you need a search warrant to come on into our spaces from the bit of training that I've gotten. But schools, it's closed to the public. So like that from what I understand is a search warrant. So the chief had mentioned, that we potentially invite Faye Waters to come and do a training, maybe, or like talk more for this group, and maybe we open it up and allow the community to also, have a broader advertising of the meeting in case people are interested, to come and talk about it a little bit more. I imagine Faye has a lot on her plate right now, so this might not be the month or time period for that, but I can check back in with the chief. We meet tomorrow to see if there's any additional like updates or information, or if there is going to be any sort of city training or anything like that on this.
Yeah, I'd really appreciate that. And to your point, Kim, about the city offices being public, like I think there still is the importance of defining what is actually a private space within this, because I'm sure not the entirety of the building is public, right? And being able to ensure people who are there know what is public space, what's private space, is really critical for this, because the law applies differently. But definitely, I think wanting to know a little bit more about beyond what the kind of police department is doing. Obviously, we want to know that, but also, what kind of training is happening for people who are working for the city, in all different kind of aspects, I think is really critical.
And I can see
yeah.
if we can get additional information. Like I said, kind of depending on group to group, there might be opportunities where people tackle issues like as a whole team. It might not necessarily be through CIS, but it could be through, a facilitator or team building thing that DEI issues are discussed. I know that we try to do that in our department. It's not necessarily through CIS. We've tried to incorporate it into some of, just our other trainings where we're learning about a variety of things. So I don't, yeah, I can continue to try to look into that, but I wasn't able to get the data on percentages of who's taken what.
I appreciate that. I know the one other spot was around, we had asked this question about the staff demographics compared to the Albany demographics, if you had any information to provide there.
Yeah, sorry, as I am. So yeah, it was as far as our demographics go, our current breakdown is we're about 7% Latino or Hispanic, 1.2% American Indian, 1.7% Asian, 1.7% Black, 0.25% Hawaiian, 87.95% white, and 0.24% of known or unknown. And it was actually pretty, as far as gender as well, 63.86% male, 35.9% female, and 0.25% not reported. So when I take a look and pull up the Census Bureau information that you can pull up on the city's website, we're a little higher than our Albany average for white. I apologize as I have children in the background that are loud. So if you hear that, thank you for your patience. We actually are the African American percentage alone in Albany is 0.5%. So we are above on Black employees. We are low on our Hispanic or Latino, but HR also let me know that we have made strides and that we have been able to recruit more veterans as well as Hispanic and Latino candidates in the last year, and that we've met our inching up goals, and that as far as candidate ethnicity, something that I thought was pretty interested in is they were able to pull some data as to like what ethnicity reported that applied and how many percentage was hired to kind of see like how well we're trending. And we are trending higher than 11% Hispanic folks applied, and we've hired 18%. Asian or Pacific Islander is a little bit low. It was 5.8% applied out of all the applicants, and we hired 2.6. But so yes, so we're able to pull some data. So we're pretty equivalent minus being low on the Latino population for how our staff mirror our community.
Thanks,
For
Kim.
folks who choose to identify, on the surveys.
Yeah. Do folks have questions, thoughts they want to add?
Not yet. Can I reserve the right to ask more questions about this
Course.
later?
I think one thing that might be helpful, Kim, I don't know what you can share, but if we can actually be able to see that, read it,
Sure.
it would be helpful.
And that is one thing I forgot to check with HR to double check to make sure that the information is scrubbed so that's okay. Sure. To make sure that we're protecting employee information. But I will follow up with kind of a cheat sheet, or a cheat sheet's the wrong word, a one pager that kind of provides the breakdown of that once I've had a chance to connect with them a little bit more.
Thank you.
So I guess the only other thing I would be interested in, and I'm sorry, Kim, this is just data mining, which is kind of what I like to do sometimes. But when it comes to the Latino community, because you are, I think you said 7%, 8% maybe, and we have a 14% Latino community, the demographics are 14% in our community. It would just be really interesting to see what positions the Latino employees are being hired into. If it's traditional like landscaping positions or what I guess I would say the traditional role of what you typically see Latinos hired into in local government, just to get a sense if there's opportunity at higher levels in managerial, supervisory, et cetera, or if it's mainly at the entry level positions.
So, yes. Well, I clicked out of it. And they were able to pull some of that information, and I apologize as I didn't think to share that. Is they're able to provide the breakdown. Hold on, sorry. Bear with me here for a second. Well, I would hold on, maybe come back to me. I apologize. I clicked out of it and now I can't get back to it again. So they were able to identify areas that compared to like averages where we are above in certain areas or where we're low. And so I should be able to incorporate that into the information that I provide you.
Right. Thank you.
One of the questions that I was kind of holding on to with that, Tammy, that really made me kind of think about, I was wondering about the city's hiring practices as far as actually even thinking about the inclusivity of job postings, right? So I was thinking about educational levels and where certain educational levels are required for different positions and like kind of recognizing that. One of the things that I know, working at Portland State, even within our local program, we intentionally changed some of the qualifications as feasible within the particular union, but to intentionally expand the potential pool for folks who maybe don't have the education levels but have lived experience. Recognizing that even where jobs are posted can create or can contribute to the lack of access to even knowing and understanding what jobs are available to people who might be qualified based on education level, socioeconomic status. And so I was wondering if that is like those things are being considered in the city's hiring practices, but then also just kind of the notion of is there an awareness and an intentional practice?
I would say there's definitely an awareness. I can't speak on behalf of HR, so it might be something that I can reach out to see if they might be interested in coming to a future meeting to maybe be able to talk about practices and answer questions. As I apologize, as I might just be playing a game of telephone. But I do know that I believe a lot of the job descriptions are based on comparables for like other municipalities. And so there potentially might be standards in that capacity. You know what? I'm going to stop talking because I actually do not know and I don't want to say anything wrong. So very good question. I'll follow up with HR to see if potentially maybe they could come to maybe the March meeting or our April meeting to kind of talk about this, as it sounds like this would definitely be something that we could mention in our strategic planning session and be one of the areas that we could dig down further in.
The other, Allison, you were going to say something?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. When I was reading through the agenda, just because I wasn't sure what the context of availability of DEI training meant yet, I really appreciate the opportunity to access the same trainings that city employees are getting. I also happen to work as a trainer, and we do a lot of focus on what we call DEIBJ, so belonging and justice work. And so I guess my I'm just kind of putting it out there that I'm curious as to if that is a need, either for this particular commission, the city, kind of what that is looking like, and what the because I was looking again at what I'm assuming is the charge on the website, and just thinking about having shared language and understanding of what like DEI means, since it's also kind of a real broad thing that unless you're, not everyone means like anti-racist practice when they say DEI. Some people are not aware that that is a part of that, and for some people, and so just kind of I'd love to hear more about that. I don't know if that wasn't super specific for anyone, and I'm sorry that it wasn't super clear, but just thinking about it, it's something that I we talk about and work with all day long, and so very, very interested and just would love to hear more.
So yes. So can I share my screen? Hold tight. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, meeting's being recorded. Are you all able to see it?
Yes.
So if you go into our citizen advisory group page and you click on our charter, this is the document that was kind of reworked with council and the mayor 4 years ago. And they wanted to call out specific definitions. So this is kind of where you're going to find the more nuts and bolts of what the purpose is. And so this is how the group in 2021 defined these words. That could be something that is continued conversation moving forward. But at that time, this is how those things were defined. As far as additional training, I think if this group, through our strategic planning session, if this group decides that recommending specific trainings to council, to potentially be forwarded on not only to council or potentially staff, or just providing additional resources, I think that could be discussed there. But at this time, we don't have a pipeline for, large scale training of this capacity.
Thanks.
Did that answer it?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, and I found the charter. Thank you so much for showing that, because that is helpful as well. So okay.
So I think this brings us to business from the members, unless there was something else that somebody wanted to say about what we just discussed. Business from members. All right, staff updates.
No real updates at this time. Everybody's getting their feet underneath them and working through a budget season. So it's a tricky time. So we're gonna do the best that we can to be a well-rounded community and figure out ways to serve y'all. But in all honesty, that's just kind of where everybody's brain is right now, is trying to figure out what the money situation is going to look like in the next year. Well, next 2 years.
Kim, speaking of money, I know that the commissions don't get money. There's no budget for us, but is there availability for, like, if we wanted to put on an event, is there financial support internally at the city for something like that?
Typically at this point, any of those costs come out of either city manager's office or Parks and Recreation, which we don't really necessarily have any line items associated to it. So if this group wanted to put on an event,
Mm.
I think that would be something that we could potentially, like the Arts Commission, go out and apply for grants. The Arts Commission has received, over $3,000 in grants for their work. If it's going to be a tourism related thing, we could potentially look to, apply for a tourism related grant through the city. So there's not at this point any line item or availability. If we buy t-shirts, that comes out of one of our budgets, which I still think we should do. And I can afford that. Parks and Rec, we can afford that. But anything more kind of outside of that, the group would need to be self-supporting at this time.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
And Kim, like for receiving a grant, like it would just be, we would kind of use Parks and Rec as like our fiscal agent for receiving that grant.
We could work through that depending on what the application guidelines look like. The Arts Commission works through the Parks and Recreation Foundation as a 501c3. We also could potentially, the HAC's not a 501c3, but there might be other community organizations if we were looking to partner that might be able to. But if we could make a good reason for why it should be attached to the foundation and how it could impact Parks and Recreation, then it probably could go through the foundation.
If we wanted to, so there are some organizations that will provide nonprofits with critical information about knowing one's rights. And they will do so with a nonprofit for, free of charge. Is that something through which we could use the Parks and Rec Foundation as kind of a way to
let me go back and take a look at their bylaws. Let me go back and take a look at the bylaws, and I'll try to think if there's some other nonprofits that we could potentially go through. If you wouldn't mind sending me the details as like what you're specifically thinking about, and I can maybe do a little bit of research and double check.
Okay. Other business? Anyone have last thoughts here? Next meeting, February 25th, in person. We'll get information on where specifically from Eric or Kim.
And once again, please plan on 90 minutes. And for the agenda, it'll probably just be strategic planning. We'll do the official thing of adopting the minutes, but there won't necessarily be, we want to give ourselves plenty of time. So there won't be the other agenda items for that special meeting.
Thanks, Kim. Well, with that, let's adjourn this meeting.
Thank you all. Have a good night.